2:46 p.m. and I call to order the meeting of the Recreation Advisory Committee to resume after our recess. We had some technical issues, my apologies. So we were on the agenda item, the work plan development, and do we have any discussion on this item from anyone?
Shall I respond to some of the questions, Madam Chair? Is that okay about Norfolk Community Day and then Engage Norfolk?
Yes.
If that helps the committee?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead, Brandon.
Sure. So Norfolk Community Day hopefully will be an awesome day where the community can help reconnect. It's been a long 2 years here. It is planned for June 18th. Which I think now coincides with the year of the Garden Days as well as a new initiative out there. What we are looking at and planning on generally is that we would have all of our recreation facilities, and community centers and things open, with free programming. People, families, individuals could come and learn how to play pickleball. We should have the summer ice in Waterford, so that could be like a free skate day. It's the date the Delhi Kinsman Pool would officially publicly open for the season. We would get, the fire trucks out, do all the stuff, the face painting, get all these kind of things happening. Hopefully we can get some activities in all different areas of Norfolk. Stuff happening at that Langton Community Center that Linda's going to have open soon. We're gonna have, hopefully we could even involve some of our local providers, that we could get maybe some music going and some vendors or things like that. But really, we want it to be an open, fun day for the community to connect, reconnect, get out there, celebrate all things Norfolk. And the more we talk, the more ideas keep flowing. We would work with our service groups. I know the Lions Club and all those that help operate some of the facilities and do some events in the community, and volunteers, etc. We have an internal staff team. So my area of community development is kind of, we'll call it, I don't know, I'll be the original birthplace of the idea, but I'm more of an ideas guy, and definitely need a team of folks to help pull this off. And so our recreation department are the project leads, and we have a representative from each of our departments within community development, and we'll have somebody like from our operations and other areas that get involved to help put this together, and to pull off a fun time. Now, we would be reaching out to a whole bunch of folks, and I think what I see is that we could have our project leads, myself, or even through Nikki, come to this committee, and you could help us with some feedback on this, how we can kind of focus our efforts, also how we can get the word out, how we can best support this. There's going to be so many activities and ideas. Like the ideas are flowing. Like, do we even get try and have the old township areas, each area have like a mixed slow pitch softball team, and do fundraising, and whoever raises the most funds, they're the home team, and we have a tournament style thing. We're having other things that so many different ideas. So we might need your assistance with shortlisting that. How we can do it. And maybe some of the committee members would be wanting to volunteer and help out on the day itself. There might be some things, of course, that our fellow counselors would want to be involved in on that day. We'd probably have a bit of a tour going to different facilities and places, right? We'll do like a pancake breakfast here in the morning, and we'll do a thing over here, and then the pool will open. We'll do the skate in the afternoon, whatever it might be. And make it a fun day. So I think there's definitely a role that this committee can take. You don't have to be the committee to organize everything or do everything. I think as hopefully that's clear, that, but if you can provide advice as being the advisory committee, that would really help, some guidance, feedback, and help us get the word out. So we've kind of just started as the staff team to have our initial meeting. And so we'll have more information as we get to your next meeting or two. On the Engage piece, so that is going to be a new online platform through Norfolk. It's going to be called Engage Norfolk. And that's something that we could use for initiatives that we have and getting feedback, whether it's surveys or projects. So let's say in the future, we're doing a Harbor Street in Port Dover renovation project for what the future of that street's going to be. And we want to do like new streetscape design that's inclusive to all people, and we want to get ideas from the public. We could use this Engage Norfolk platform to put some picture. Here's the streetscape as it looks right now. Here's what other places are doing. Here's the things we think you need, and get the public to come in and put some ideas on the map, generate some discussion, get some feedback, review some optional designs, things like that. It could be used for a whole variety of things. And so I think the intent is that for recreation, there's going to be a few things that we would need the public's feedback on. So one of the things we get feedback on is recreation programs. And then it's also related to number one about some of the policies that we have to update this year. And so we could use Engage Norfolk for that, but we would like to probably use this committee to get your feedback on, how do we ask the appropriate questions that would get valued feedback, one that the members of the public, average member of the public would understand, and that can get us the feedback we're looking for. But then you would also have the input to like the user groups and like how can we get to our direct stakeholders as well. More specifically to Councillor Rabbit's about the in-person, very good question. We have not discussed the in-person engagement very much yet. We were trying to get this online tool up and running that I went out and got a grant for, so that we can kind of move forward and start with that. So we have that tool, but I do know that a lot of people are a bit starved for that in-person, getting back to some in-person engagement. So we'll have to take that back to the team. It's going to be issue specific, right? Project specific. So if we have something, then let's go and engage. Hope that helps. Sorry if I took too much time there.
No, not at all. Any further comments or questions? Ryan?
So Brandon, I was just looking because I saw Engage Norfolk and I just searched it online, and there's actually Engage Norfolk URL used already, and it's for the States. And there's another one in the UK. They're the first things that come up on, like when you search for that, right? So I hear Engage Norfolk. I'm like, okay, how do I get there? How do I find it? Have you guys thought about how, like, is there a way to differentiate it from those other things to make it more easily like user friendly to find it if people are searching for it?
Yeah, that is a good question, because the URL was just being reserved. So one of my staff members was just doing that, and so it's through Bang the Table HQ is the actual software platform. And you're right, when you search Norfolk or even Engage Norfolk, you get Virginia, you get the UK. We should probably reach out and connect to those communities sometime and do something jointly together. But good point. So I'll bring that to Marie's attention about that as to how to differentiate. So it's not actually live and active. So if you searched it, you wouldn't find anything yet. We haven't gone live with our first launch for our first project.
Okay, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that Councillor Van Passen has been able to join us. And are you caught up to speed? Is there any questions that you have?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize. Couldn't get logged in and went back to the oldest trick in the book, just turned the computer off, turned it back on, and now it works good. But no, you carry on. I will get up to speed when I need to later on. I'm not going to take anybody else's time for that. So thank you for the opportunity, though.
Thank you. Okay, any further? Oh, Linda?
Right. I find if you type Ontario first, the words Ontario, and then anything to do with Norfolk, it'll bring us to us. But otherwise, it does bring us to the Americans or to the UK. So anyway, I just say Ontario.
Okay. All right. Any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to move a motion that the work plan be approved. Can I have a seconder?
And a mover, Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I can't move. Okay, so move Chris, seconder. Linda, did I see your hand up? Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor that the work plan be approved? Okay, and that carries. Alrighty, our next item on the agenda is the draft ICE allocation policy. I'm just going to offer the floor to Brandon to perhaps make any comments that he'd like to open with.
Well, thanks, Madam Chair. Way to put me on the spot there. That is very helpful. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to fully review this ahead of time. In Nikki's absence, I'm here. I might rely on Aaron a little bit to help me out, but essentially, this ICE allocation policy has come up over the years. Can get quite interesting, I guess, as to how the arenas are being used and the ice being allocated with a certain time slots and certain times, etc. And so there's some review that needs to be done, some update. It's on our work program to do this year. Aaron can help me out if we're really wanting to get into the details of the discussion today. Is this something we're just maybe introducing and then the committee members can go away and review and comment to bring it back at the next meeting when Nikki or one of our members could do a much better job than I could about reviewing this policy? Aaron, help me out, my man.
Thank you, Brandon. Through you, Madam Chair, to the committee. I think this is a good opportunity just to review the policy before you, provide some comments. Like Brandon said, Nikki's not necessarily here today, who is the expert on the policy and the report and the author of the policy itself. But staff are absolutely happy to sort of take your initial thoughts on it, and we will for sure be bringing this forward for other discussion at our next meeting for more detailed analysis of it. But this is a good opportunity sort of just to look at it, to discuss it. If there's any feedback, I'm happy to note that and make sure that Nikki gets that. And our next meeting, we'll have a more fulsome discussion where we'll actually perhaps recommend that staff formally incorporate some of the comments received into the final version.
Okay, Linda?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. I think it would be a good chance because we just received it. It's fairly lengthy and you have to digest it. But I would have liked to have seen the last policy. What is the changes that have been made? So if they would have been highlighted paragraphs or something like that, maybe we can get Nikki to do that. What is the same? What is new? What changes you want to make? I'm sure this whole thing isn't new. There's a couple spots there to check some things out. But if that could happen for next time, that would be great. Or maybe I can get a copy from Nikki, or she can send it to the committee. What is already in the policy and where the upgrade or changes or tweaking is being done. I have one, and I've always thought of this, like at the end of the day, years ago, and not even that long ago, if I wanted to go to the arena and say, for instance, went to Langton Arena and I wanted to rent the ice, the guys there had the opportunity to be able to help me out. And I could get the right ice on the fly, because nobody's on the ice, middle of the day, brought the kids, blah, blah, blah. I want to know if there's an opportunity here to do that again. Brandon, if that could be a possibility. I know we have the program, but we have one person who has to try to allocate all this ice. And it would be important to me to see that we can use the ice or a facility on the fly if there was a staff person there that could either key it into the computer right there, or just because there's nobody on the ice, put us on the ice, sign a little contract thing and leave a check or leave a payment or whatever. But there's got to be better opportunity than what we have right now. Right now it's too restrictive for me. So I'm wondering if there's more opening we can have, and maybe someone else might have some comment.
Brandon?
Yeah, so if I may, so what I'm hearing is there'd be benefit for a track changes copy. To be honest, I don't know if the copy before you has all the full changes in it or not, or if that's the past policy that we're just now starting to look at updating, although it does have a draft watermark. But so I'm hearing a track changes copy would be helpful if there are staff suggested changes at this point in time. And then, yes, you're right. We only have one person that does facility bookings for Norfolk. We're as I may have mentioned it earlier, we're a lean, mean organization. So there's not a lot of backup to that. Heaven forbid that she's sick. We do have some backup. But what you're suggesting, I think, and it might help when we talk about this policy, is someone from our operations group too. So they're the ones that would be out at the site, whereas the recreation side is kind of in charge of the overall programming. So there might be benefit of having the hand in hand, someone from our ops group with Nikki or someone from the rec as we're going through the details here.
Oh, sorry, Linda.
I just want to mention it because there's an opportunity here to make more money, and we keep losing opportunities to make money, and that's no good. We need to make money, and you want to keep the price of the ice at a certain level. Great, and some of it has to be increased and all that, but don't lose opportunity to make money. So use everyone.
Yeah, I've heard there's some, maybe some open slots during the day, and maybe Ryan has some ideas. I hear about it, so I'm sure those are the things we can discuss.
Okay, Paul?
Yes, when I was reviewing it, the first thing that came to mind was, although we're a lean, mean organization of one administering this, it's a 15-page document just to allocate ice. Like there should be a very simple, easy to read précis, an executive summary of some kind, and maybe a hyperlink to the available ice times if this is going to be published for the general public to read. It's got to be a little simpler to digest.
Okay,
Over.
Yeah, I think we can, through the chair, I think we can take that into account in terms of if there is any summary needed. I'm going to assume that it's probably this lengthy because over the last 17 years since it was created, there's probably been so many questions have come up that so much clarification or needs to be done, loopholes needed to be closed, that it becomes lengthy, as many of the policies we have. But I guess we need to look at who is the exact audience and reader for this. So we need to make sure that the users, the stakeholders, and of course the facility booking clerk know how clear it is. So thanks for the comments. Sorry, and Aaron, you're helping with recording some of these items. Like I'm making some notes, but since Nikki's not here, I'm sure we benefit from having some of these details. And she'll probably listen to the recording too. So
Detailed note taking being done.
Councillor Van Passen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. A few comments. I think I've been harping about this long enough, but like we need to upgrade our entire booking system where you can whip out your iPhone, check a free time, punch it in there, log it in, book it, pay for it, be done with it. I think that technology exists. We just have to move out of the 50s and into the, well, at least the 2000s, I guess, at Norfolk County. And again, I would never be able to figure that out myself, but other people can. So, that would be one thing that we need to look at. When I look at this policy, I think I could throw out something for all the committee members to think about is the way that we prioritize the ice. The priority is for the young kids. Let's accept that. But do they need to have all of the primetime ice between 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night? Or can we sit down with the minor hockey groups, the figure skating groups, and say, look, maybe if you book some of your practices at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we could free up some more hours of the prime time for the beer league hockey and things like that. that, or at least maybe one night a week would be more allocated to that type of thing. Because I think right now the policy, like figure skating is the first on the list, so they get to pick the times they want. Then it's minor hockey, the high schools and Board of Education stuff, they get first dibs on between noon and 4 p.m. Is there a way to tweak that a little bit to not have to have the public sort of picking what's left over, that we could, sit down as over the course of next summer, maybe even with all the groups, find different priorities, or maybe it is the right way, but at least let's think about it. Let's talk about that kind of thing. Because again, the key in my mind is to, if we've got staff in that arena from 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, we should have somebody on the ice between 7 in the morning and 11 at night, not nobody there till 3 in the afternoon, and then everybody is fighting for the time from 3 till 10 p.m. Right? So if you guys could find some solutions to that little dilemma, I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure our staff would as well. So.
Brandon, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, if it's just okay, just quickly, maybe as each one comes in, if there's something. So yeah, through the chair, I think I've heard the same similar comments from a couple of the beer leaguers myself about that. And I know Nikki and I had an initial discussion, and so I think there is some reception to looking at that. I get the impression that things were maybe done a certain way, or the hockey groups or the minor hockey, was used to certain things for a while. But now with looking at this, the world's really changed. The policies are changing. Now's probably a good time to revisit what the best approach is moving forward. So I think it should be on the table for the discussion as well.
Okay, I have Ryan and then Chris and Linda. So Ryan, go ahead.
Through you, the chair. There's some good points there. Just some things that kind of stick out to me with this. And I guess we're not going to go in as detail. I did have a chance to read it all over. But with regards to like the prime ice and youth organizations, you also have to realize that's also convenient for parents as well that are participating in that. And when you start to get into mornings, and I did mornings when I was a youth, and I'm not saying that mornings aren't beneficial or shouldn't be used, but that also stems into getting your kid there, getting them to school. People have jobs, right? There's that kind of side of things. But one thing I really think we should look at is I'm looking at our, I guess the ice is cheaper. I think non-prime, right? During the week, Monday to Friday, between that time. So that I think should be really, I'm not sure. I think you guys said it was $80 an hour before, or something along those lines. But even on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Like prime hour starts at 6:30 a.m. on a Saturday and a Sunday. And to be honest, like I personally it would appeal to me to rent the ice at 7 in the morning for a small group if I wasn't paying $180 an hour for prime ice. If I was paying non-prime, I would probably be much more interested in renting that ice from 7 to 8 in the morning as a small private group, right? Because I know minor hockey kind of has stuck away from it just being involved with Delhi minor hockey. Our ice times start at 8 o'clock on both mornings. But I just wonder if that's something to look at for that on the weekend, to have prime time from 7 to 8. And you'd rather have some money than no money is my kind of, thought with that process in terms of that. Just to touch on another thing that stuck out to me, and this kind of, I've dealt with it before with high school. Obviously, I coached the high school team here, and we've tried to run tournaments before. And I'm not privy to the information of the board joint use agreement with the board and the county. But 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for us to run a practice, and like we obviously at the school want to keep things very, very affordable. Hockey is expensive as it is, and again, I'm not privy to all the information of the joint use. But prime doesn't start till 5. If you stuck it to 4 p.m. and we started charging schools after that, you would kill the high school programs. We simply can't afford it. And really, the ice isn't being used till 5. And I've tried to run tournaments, which are fantastic during the day, and we're happy to pay for that ice. But at the same time, when I was trying to do that, this was 2 years ago, we were going to be charged as a normal because it's a tournament and seen as we're making money now, which is fundraising for our program that goes directly back into the students, we were being charged full rate. And as soon as you do that, it's not affordable. No high school is paying $900 to come to a tournament, right? If there was a way, and again, I don't know if this is something that has to be revisited, like obviously negotiated with that joint use agreement, but something like that, just speaking from the high school thing, if we were charged non-prime hours, which are non-prime during the day, that would be a much more affordable and reasonable thing to be able to run a tournament, which would be beneficial, and you'd be using the ice and getting paid something for the ice during the day not being used. So yeah, that's just a couple comments that I have off the top of my head so far.
Brandon?
Yeah, thanks for that. And I think it would help then with the ice allocation policy. I know that Nikki and the team are also looking at the fees this year, so it sounds like that should kind of be hand in hand. Along with, there's another thing out there about affordability as well, and how others can afford it. But also, we had something kind of on our list that had been talking to Nikki and our economic development about relating to tournaments, and how we can kind of generate some activity as it relates to that with tourism and overnight stays. So there's kind of a package of things here that maybe should be considered in concert with each other. So thanks for those comments, and we can bring them to their attention too.
Okay, Chris?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. I agree with everything Ryan said. That's definitely the key. During the day, the kids are in school. It can't be used. But I don't see why. Years ago, when you wanted to book ice, you walked into the arena and you booked ice. Why can't we let the arena staff have access to the Encore program, that if somebody walks in and they want to rent ice, they can look it up, they can rent it, they can pay for it, even if it's just off the cuff during the day?
Brandon, any comment?
Well, through the chair, I think I heard earlier Councillor Van Passen was getting us iPads or something so that we could do that. That's definitely something that I'm interested to find out. I don't know all the background or the history behind exactly how it's all kind of controlled through that the central method. I believe that there are people being trained on how to use the Encore system in the corporation, so that it's more than just our facility booking clerk, that they can go onto the system. But how we can even get it out further so that even the patron could go on and look and see in an easier method. That's something that those are familiar with the program can probably come and talk better than I can about it. But yeah, thanks for that comment.
Yeah, we can always have discussion into this at our next meeting with Nikki. Linda, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I've got to get my hand down. I agree with everything Ryan's mentioned, and I agree with having a discussion over the groups. But you have to remember who pays the most, and if you're a minor hockey in Norfolk, there's a lot of them. So they come. I don't know if it's figure skating that comes first, or I think it's minor hockey. That block of ice they take is a lot of money they dish out. So, you've got to be conscious of that. And the schools are important to get during the day. And I think a reasonable cost for them would be beneficial. Now, you talk about, I have a question to Brandon then. You talk about tournaments, and I think you thought about it as economic development. Now, if you're talking about minor hockey has tournaments, but that's within their allotment. So what you're talking about is saying you'll open it up to what? Like, how to get a tournament? Like, who's going to come to your tournament?
Brandon?
Yeah, through the chair, just a general discussion, and it's whomever is doing the tournament. So whether it's, and it doesn't, what we were talking about, to be honest, wasn't even just hockey, it was recreation in general. So whether it's ball tournaments, soccer tournaments, any of the like, whether it's even high school offset tournaments or whatever it might be, is there a way that we can generate or get Norfolk to host more tournaments or have them hosted in Norfolk facilities more often or other partner facilities, so that we can then generate some more overnight stays to then also generate some spending, multiple day spending in our community.
Yeah.
And so we are looking at, is there a way we could have some kind of incentive program about that? But so far, just early discussions.
Yeah, and I think discussions are a good idea, and I like the idea of even ball tournaments. What you have to do is make sure that, say, hardball comes back into play, softball comes back into play. More of those groups that are getting involved, so that know that maybe they can offer, county can offer tournaments, and then you create the overnight stays. And I think partnerships are a great idea. I really think that's important. And there's a lot. I'm not going to overkill here, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of discussion we can have, and we make it one whole meeting out of it, because there's a lot we can try to improve for recreation in all fields. I like the idea of the soccer. I love ball. I think ball is a great thing. Hockey's always had its time. So, I mean, more discussion, the better, I think. So I'm just going to say that. I'm going to stop talking.
Okay. Mr. Van Passen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, I'm going to throw in a little bit of reality here, that arenas lose money. Well, all of our rec facilities lose money, but arenas, they lose money. It becomes the balancing act, because there's a great number of societal benefits to having things like arenas and ball diamonds, and kids who get that team concept, they create less problems to society as they get older, and they're healthier, and there's all of that stuff. But it is a balance of, we know we're going to lose money, but what is an acceptable level of loss? And historically, that level of loss, Norfolk County was not recouping 1/3 of the actual operating costs of the arenas. So 2/3 of the cost of those arenas is funded from tax dollars. That doesn't include capital costs that soon, with asset management, the way that the province is forcing us to make sure that we're setting aside enough funds to replace it, we're going to have to start accounting for that portion of the capital. So, we would have been looking historically at only recouping 1/4 of the actual cost of the arena. A couple of years ago, council made a decision to close down one of the ice services to try to get that acceptable level of loss to a better ratio. While COVID got thrown in, and there's no real result from that yet, but that's where we need to be, is where is that acceptable level of loss? We've agreed at council level that it's not 1/3, maybe 40-50% recouping of the actual expenses. That's why we have to find better ways to create more income with the same amount of cost. And the logic of just reducing the rates to get people on the ice. Like right now, 10 guys go out and play a little game of pickup hockey. We're in essence paying each one of them $20 to skate around for that 15 minutes. Or for that 50 minutes. And that's not an acceptable level of loss. So we need to think of more ways to get more income, more use, without increasing the expenses involved. So that shouldn't be much of a task. I look here, we got the brain power here to do it. So just figure that one out for us, and your councils appreciate it, because they will look good in the eyes of the public. So thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Jamie, and then we'll have Brian.
Through you, Chair. I just wanted to sort of comment here. It sounds like the problem is that during the day the arena's empty, but we're paying people to sit there and maintain the building and the ice. Well, no one is using these facilities. I think that's inherent in the fact that kids are in school and people are working. There's just not that many people that are looking to do activities at that time. They don't have that available, which means our prime time is really all we have to capitalize on. That comes down to increasing your rates or finding something else you can do in these facilities during the day. But I think that's pretty limited, because most people are working or at school. So if we're not increasing rates, I don't know how else we could change this aside from reducing costs, which is maybe during the day it's closed down, maybe it's not open in one full block, maybe it's morning skates shut down during the day and open in the evenings during prime time again. And maybe that reduces the costs, but there's only so many variables we have here, right, that we can play with.
Brandon, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think you're onto it that there's only a certain number of variables. I would hope that there's a way to increase the use, and I'm pretty sure that there wouldn't be excessive staff sitting around doing nothing during a block of time, just so that's clear. I know there's limited folks, and there are a number of other matters to attend to. I think the folks that work at arenas also do other things throughout the year as well. But others can probably comment better when Nikki or if I have our operations folks. So often the operations folks are there, can probably comment better than I can. But I think you're onto something. There's only a few, there's a couple levers that we can pull here. But I'm hearing that cost recovery is a factor, and but also the healthy communities is an important factor here too.
Ryan?
Through you, Chair. Just to speak to Councillor Van Passen on a couple of those things. I totally agree. You got to figure out what acceptable loss is. But I know we always tend to focus on just hockey. But we also have to remember we're providing a service, and there's intangible benefits to that service that might not see it in dollars and cents in our healthy community. But we also provide a free skate during prime time at Saturday at 7:00 p.m. at Delhi, and I know there's 4 people that sign up that pay $2 each. So it's not just hockey players we're paying $20 an hour to go out and play some shinny. There's also those free skates that are happening. So if you look at it purely through a lens of cost recovery and money, then why are you providing free public skates during prime hours? Because it's a service. It's something that all residents should have access to. And there's tangible benefits to it that we don't see in our pocketbooks, but it needs to be offered in our community because it's things that help our community thrive and are attractive and for people to do. I think one of the biggest things is Ms. Vandendriest talked about is removing the hurdles, right? There are some times that ice gets canceled late, and I know there's policies that you have to cancel it so far ahead, but so that ice is still paid for. But it'd be nice if there was some sort of alert system that got sent out to our users saying, hey, this ice block became available. So people knew that it was available, and then they could immediately go and say, hey, well, maybe I'll go and rent it for that hour for a reduced rate. And essentially you can double dip, right? So you still make the money from the people who have unfortunately had to cancel and didn't cancel within the right allotted time. I think it's 20 or 48 hours or something like that. But then it doesn't sit there empty possibly, and somebody else can get in there, and then you can kind of recoup a little bit more cost there. But I think, speaking with a lot of, I'm involved with a lot of groups and different hockey groups and whatnot. And I think one of the biggest things is those hurdles, right? We need to have ease of access to have access to our facilities and be able to, like I said, walk in and rent the ice if it's available, right? Or working along those lines of things. And I think there's other things I'll touch about in other business that I sent you guys an email about how maybe we can utilize the rinks in the off season as well to try to get some money out of there. But yeah, I'm just going to stop there.
We'll save that for discussion item later. Okay, Brandon, did you have anything to comment on the feasibility of that?
No, I think, we touched on the healthy community aspect of the service that's provided, and there's always the balance with how we could figure out about cost recovery as well, and as we all know, operating some aged facilities, so there's significant capital costs in the future too to consider.
Okay, Mr. Van Passen.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think Ryan said all those things a whole lot better than I did. That is that balance act, right? But I should have mentioned that I think management and the unions, like this is another little issue. They're already discussing those possible changes to shift, like under the union contracts, we have to adhere to them, to change like the working hour, like to go to a 10-hour working day rather than an 8-hour working day, or even a 12-hour working day instead of an 8-hour working day. So you're not paying overtime consistently for the same hours, and other times have people available when there's nothing booked, that we could, make those two schedules mesh a little better. But that's, I think, currently under negotiations between management and the unions. That is one key factor there again, that what was I saying? Oh, when I was much younger, I had friends who worked at Stelco Hydro Texaco back in the day when all three of those were big and booming, and they worked 24 hours a day. They worked 12-hour shift, and they had hockey leagues that played at 8 o'clock in the morning because that was 8 o'clock at night for them. And that went on for quite some time. I think it wasn't all that long ago, I think, that they finally quit that. But, if we could find that magic key again, where you get consistent usage, like what we don't want is to have staff waiting for that text message or email or phone call to book an hour of ice. You want to have it booked in for the whole year, that a certain league takes 2 or 3 or 4 hours in a row. And if we could get a league that wanted to play from, say, 8 o'clock in the morning till noon on Wednesdays, we'd make sure we had the staffing as long as the ice time is booked. But we can't put staffing in with there's no pre-booked ice. And when that 1 hour in between gets canceled, that's the time to use Ryan's idea of booking it at the last minute. As the closer you get to the date, the lower price goes, because you already got the staff, you already got the Zamboni, the ice is ready to go. So if it's canceled the day before and somebody else books it, you should be able to get that really cheap. So those are all those little things that if we can find some ways to make them work, it's going to be better for everyone. And and again, that's that overall societal benefits that these things provide. Even I don't look only at dollars and cents. I look at the community as a whole, and figure out where the money comes from to pay for it later on. So I only sound like a bad guy most of the time.
All right. Any comment on that, Brandon?
Received. Yeah, maybe I don't have to comment on every single one, but thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thanks. Jamie.
I just wanted to make one other comment here. One of the levers I was thinking about that we do have to work with too. I guess it's facility specific. I used to play pickup hockey in Burlington a while ago. It was a private arena, not a publicly owned one. But they had a licensed bar in the arena, which was always very busy and did really good business. And I'm sure that offset a lot of the costs of operating the arena. What about looking at how we monetize, say, the canteens and different things like that in these facilities? Are they just sort of run at like a break even right now? Is there an opportunity to lease them to a business owner that says, I'm going to only be there during prime hours, but it'll be open, and it's up to me to set the prices and things to make it a business, and then you have a steady income there that can offset some of these costs.
Brandon?
Yeah, interesting idea. I'm not sure if I've heard Nikki or the gang talk about that too much yet. I've seen some familiarity with that, like where I previously resided in Kitchener-Waterloo. That there's a large facility in Waterloo that also has a restaurant bar that's there, part of the public facility actually. Along with like the skate sharpening shop and a few other things and some retail. So I mean, it's possible. We have to look at all our facilities and see, what's actually doable.
Okay, Aaron, you're muted.
Apologies, that was probably the best things I said then. Through you, Madam Chair, to the committee, I'm just letting you know that I am taking notes for some of these more technical questions, and I'm sure staff will be able to take this away, and at our next meeting, we'll be able to give more fulsome and more technical responses. So, of course, the committee is welcome to continue discussing, but if there's more technical questions, perhaps we won't be able to answer them right at this very moment, but we'll be happy to take them forward for response at a later date.
Yes, like we could just adopt these reports as information and have more discussion at another meeting.
Yes.
Our next meeting is for March 17th, but if staff thinks we need to move up that conversation, we could perhaps schedule a meeting in between. Is there anyone who has any questions on any more information they need for the next meeting for this discussion, or any further comment before we adopt it as information? Receive, sorry. Councillor Van Passen?
Just a follow up on that with the concession booths. I can give you the historically, if the county runs them, they lose money. We have worked with all sorts of different community groups to have somebody else run it for us. They get to keep all the profit because at least then we're not losing money. We can't even find people that are different groups to do that. We've had complaints like to rent the upstairs lounge, that you could sell beer during a hockey tournament. By the time you pay the rental fee, which, you know, that was part of the complaint, the county's rental fee was too high. You got to get your liquor license and the permits and all that. Like, you got to sell 99% of the beer just to pay for the cost of having it there. Again, it's getting rid of those barriers, you know, like, why can't, if somebody rents the lounge, they should be covered under the county's insurance policy. That should be part and parcel of it. They shouldn't have to go and buy their own insurance for that one day for $200, $300, I think is the cost nowadays. So again, though, if we can find those ways around those barriers to make it work, I think that's what we're looking for. That tell us how stupid we are because we're just not doing it right, and let's get it done right down the road.
Alrighty. Okay, so Aaron, do I need to do 2 separate motions for each different report? 'Cause we-
3, Madam Chair, we can receive and file. Do you want to discuss the draft refund cancellation policy after this, or do we want to move on to other business? Or does the committee want to discuss more in detail the draft refund first?
If I could be so bold, Madam Chair, could I move that these reports be deferred to the next meeting so that we could have the proper staff availability?
Yes.
And that just keeps it alive and we carry on with the discussion in March. So.
Okay. So motion to move this information to the agenda of our next meeting on March 17th. Can I have a mover? Councillor Van
I would
Pass.
move that, yeah.
And the seconder, Linda, thank you. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, so that takes us past the draft refund cancellation policy item. Is there any background information that anyone would like to request for our next meeting on that hasn't already been presented? Nope. Okay. All right. Moving on. So our other business, Ryan, I'm going to let you take the floor on this and share your idea.
Thank you, through you, the chair. So I've just been wondering, like, the last meeting and even this meeting, you talked about the shift workers and being available during the day to hopefully run leagues and whatnot. And I was wondering if we could explore the possibility of the county rec department running said league, because I know one of the biggest hurdles, well, 2 of the biggest hurdles, 1, the insurance, right? And 2, actually, sorry, I'm going to go with 3. 2, a person being available to have to run, right, organize, collect all the money, worried about insurance, right? People don't seem as apt and wanting to take all that on themselves. And 3, there's a lot of people that do want to participate, but don't have a group of 15 guys or girls or whatever that have a team to put into a league. So when there's a league maybe run by the county, you can have individual registration who then can be put on a team. We've seen population growth in the area, right? There's a lot of new people coming into our area that might not know other people in in our area. I know from growing up here, everybody knows everybody in communities, and especially growing up playing sports here with friends and people I went to school with and people played against and whatnot. But people are hesitant, and just going from university, right? Like even going off to university, and the university runs those leagues. You can sign up as an individual, and then it gives you an opportunity to possibly meet people. But you get placed on a team. But the biggest thing too is that I just feel like the organization of those leagues, it's hard to find somebody to take that on, right? Luckily, we do have some very motivated and great individuals that run adult leagues outside, like in prime hours and whatnot outside. But I'm thinking during the day, I see the city of Woodstock is doing something with regards to that, like having an adult league, and they're even I think there's a couple of other leagues that the municipality is taking on. So that's one thing. And the other thing I was thinking of is in the summer, when I grew up here, there was always a great youth ball hockey league that was run, and Jim Ransom was actually the guy that ran it. Very well attended. Everybody played. It was run out of Talbot. But Jim was a Norfolk County employee, but I think he did it just out of passion that he had for it. But that's another thing I wonder if the recreation department could look into, because that's a great use of the facility in the summer that we don't normally, I don't know how much use there is out of those facilities in the summer. I know lacrosse uses it and whatnot, but I wonder if that's another way to generate income, is providing a youth ball hockey league. I don't want to touch an adult ball hockey, because there's a great ball hockey league run by some residents down in Port Dover that's very well attended and very well organized. But just in terms of the youth, just another way to engage youth, give them another option, and again, a way to generate income for the municipality. So those are just a couple ideas that came to my mind that I thought we could explore, and if they're a possibility or not. Because I'm not sure how staff resources, how thin you are, if you have people to be able to, allocate to be able to run something like that. I know when I worked for the county as a student, I ran the summer programs. I was the head coordinator for it for a couple of years, and we had, what's his name? I don't know why it's not on the tip of my tongue, but he ran a 3-on-3 hockey league out of the rec center for the county. Dan Avey, and he's now with Youth Unlimited, obviously, but he ran a program for youth, and I think it was very well attended as well. I don't know why it fizzled out, but that's more geared towards winter hockey, and I think there's a little more cost that comes with that. Where ball hockey, there'd be very limited cost, and it'd be something very affordable that I feel would be great to offer youth in the community.
Brandon?
Sure, through the chair. Thanks for that idea putting forward. I do have a little note from Nikki about this one. She has indicated that there had been some initial discussion with our supervisor of recreation. Don't have a lot of folks to look at it, but it's something that was worth investigating. I think so far this year, with all the facility closures and the vaccine stuff, it hasn't percolated to the top of the list. But she is supportive of if yourself or any other members of the Recreation Advisory Committee would be willing to volunteer to have that discussion about the feasibility, or to just get a little bit more information, or kind of a little bit of a roundtable about this, that she I think would be willing to discuss that further and set that up with our supervisor of rec, Susie. I think that could be a follow-up action item. I don't know if that's worth doing an entire subcommittee or something like that for, Aaron. I think it's just whether or not there's one or two members that could have that follow-up meeting, and then we could ask Nikki to set that up.
Yeah, that'd be great if anyone interested could email Aaron, and we can take it from there. Linda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I'll take my hand down there. I like the idea. I think utilizing summer students to help work with that kind of thing, the ball hockey is a great idea. Other field facilities can be used as well. I think it's really important that we do have a roundtable and have a discussion, and then that discussion can always be brought back to this committee if you'd like. But I think anything we can do to generate income, number one, and I do agree that we have to kind of we always have to subsidize sports and activities for kids. We do it, every other county does it, everybody does it. So, you know, it's pay now or pay later in my mind, but we need all these kind of things. And if we could do something for the summer youth, I think it's great. And taking on programs. I know that we should look for provincial grants to start operating these kind of things. There's provincial grants out there. Let's go after them. Because if you can get grants for the seniors to run for our county to run programs for the seniors, then necessarily we should be able to get grants to look forward to for our children to be able to participate. And I think through the provincial minister, there are some roundtables she's having that we could bring those discussions to her as well. So I think it's a great idea, and I would be more than happy to serve on a roundtable at some point in time. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, Councillor Van Passen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, a question to the committee. How much does geography affect that kind of thing? Because to be all things to all people at every arena during the summer is not going to happen. But Waterford has summer ice. Okay, that's the ice hockey part. And then we set something up that Langton is going to be ball hockey. Everything for ball hockey centered out of that arena, lacrosse out of the Dover arena, rather than to try to run each program in each one, set each one up as a specialty area. Is that geography and commute back and forth a big barrier to most people, or is it not? Because, you know, quite honestly, I'm in between my time of running kids around to all that sort of stuff, and the grandkids are coming on, so in a couple more years I'll be back. But you know, what is the current feel out in the community about how big a barrier it is to drive from Langton to Waterford to Dover, or Dover to Langton, and that kind of stuff? Because I know I found this out not too long ago. It's the exact same distance from Dover to Langton as it is from Langton to Dover, even though they tried to explain to me that Langton was too far to drive, but it was okay for people from Langton to drive to Dover, right? So is that something that we could throw out and think about? If nothing else, I'd appreciate it.
I think that's, yeah, probably pretty relative. I believe Paul was next.
Yeah, I just wanted to add into the mix. It would be very interesting to have a report on the summertime usage of the arenas, so that we know just how much opportunity there is there.
Okay. Tammy put his hand down. Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to sit down as a team with the user groups and see, get input from them to see if there is a call for ball hockey and inline hockey and like pickleball and all that stuff in the summertime. I think if we got down and got out in the community and asked the questions, that I think we'd be surprised that there is a call for it, that we can keep these buildings going and that we can keep the kids active. And even if you can, you know, girls inline, boys, mixed, adults, all that stuff in the summertime, I think it would be great. I think this is the opportunity to engage the community and get it out there.
Aaron, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I'm just listening to the discussion. I think Paul Anderson, that almost sounded like a motion. I thought maybe we wanted to turn that into a formal motion, something along the lines of what is before you on your screen. Paul, please let me know if this sort of meets the spirit of what you're trying to say. But that staff be requested to bring forward an update on user use at arenas, something of that nature.
Okay.
Or Paul, do you want to make an amendment to that? This sort of just, I'm wordsmithing this.
Yeah, you could just include during the on-season and off-season periods.
Now, did we want to see some pre and post-COVID data? Well, we're not really post-COVID yet, but oh, I can't see who has their hand up. Sorry. Brandon.
Thanks, through the chair, just for clarity. This is to bring back some of this information or data to the Recreation Advisory Committee, just for clarity.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Jamie, do you have input on the motion here?
Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, I guess how into the weeds we want to get. Do we want to actually look at the rates that are being charged at these different time periods for usage and the costs, sort of, what's an average daily cost of keeping, this arena open or that arena open? Like, are we going to get that detailed, or are we just looking at increasing numbers without looking at the rest of it?
No, I think any level of granularity should be included there. Time, cost, what activities they are.
Linda?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. Yes, I think you can stay relatively simple on some of this stuff. I don't know how complex or deep you want to get, because as Councillor Van Passen had mentioned, you've got union costs and things like that. So it would get very complex. I think if we could keep it superficial, I think that would be great. Just to say on the average, it costs this much per hour or this much per day or whatever would be satisfactory to me. I'm not about to start analyzing to close anything. I'm not here for that.
So, Madam Chair, do we want to have a mover and a seconder for this motion?
Alrighty, Paul, did you want to move this motion?
Sure.
Okay, and do I have a seconder? Ryan, thank you. Okay, all those in favor? And that carries. Okay, so is there any, nope, that is the end of that. So our next meeting, so everyone is still good for March 17th at 2:30. Brandon, do you think that's still feasible with staff?
Provided that the Irish pubs are open afterwards, I would suggest that is feasible. Yes, I'll nominate Nikki to attend, and I'll be wearing green somewhere. No, I believe that's fine. Thanks for allowing some of my humor.
Mr. Van Passen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe by then we could have it in one of the arena lounges that's going to be licensed, and we could have our meeting there, and it'd be a good day. But I just wanted to bring up, Madam Chair, that I'm sure everybody's aware of it, but once in a while we get to brag a little or boast a little bit for our staff's hard work. We did get a grant to upgrade the pool in Delhi ahead of time. So I think it's about a $750,000 job that $500,000 is a grant came through for the funding of the pool liner and the pool building. So I'd like to say thank you to our staff for getting the right paperwork in the right place at the right time. And Delhi is going to have their pool a little better than it has been the last couple of years. So thanks for you.
Thank you. Ryan?
I was just looking at that March 17th, and that's actually during March break, and I might be away. I was wondering if it's possible to move it either a week ahead or a week behind, or a different day. I'd really like to be in attendance, but if it's not movable, then I'll try and be there. But I feel that I'm gone for a couple days there, and that's one of them, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Brandon, did you want to comment on staff, like, do you know staff availability, or is that something we'll have to look into behind the scenes?
Through the chair, I would suggest that our fine committee administrator from clerks, Aaron, would be the most prudent one for confirming the calendars of everybody involved, including the staff liaison. I'm sure that if we're looking to have a bit more information about the ICE user amount and bring back the discussion on the policy and the fees, I'm sure an extra week or two would probably help Nikki prepare, or to bring some other staff that are part of that conversation. I did my best, but yes, not the technical expert, sorry.
Okay, we appreciate it. Aaron, do you have a comment?
Yeah. Through you, Madam Chair, staff will meet offline. We can just sort of discuss. We'll set up a meeting with you to sort of determine when our next meeting will be, but it'll be in March. And we'll make sure to survey the committee themselves, make sure you're all available. But I appreciate that comment, Ryan, about your availability. That makes total sense. So we will ensure that March break is not impacted by our meeting.
Well, thank you. Councillor Van Passen?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I think I forgot to undo my little hand up sign.
No problem. Linda?
Keep muting myself and unmuting myself. Just to say I'm available to move at any time. So and I think we all are. And I understand the point of March break. You're right. Okay.
Okay. All righty. So can I have a motion to adjourn at 3:51 p.m.? I need a mover. Paul, and a seconder, Chris. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for allowing me to attend.